Welcome back. This is episode 6 of the Tik Talks podcast. And as some of you may be able to see, this episode's different because we're on video, which I'm absolutely excited about having the opportunity to bring you guys new content and learn throughout this process. And I can't wait to talk about today's guest. But as some of you know, I expected to return in January. And long story short, sometimes you just have to take that opportunity to reset, reflect, and do things the right way. And I hope that this time that I've taken, I've gotten better at being a podcaster, being a podcast host, and just bringing you guys great content every single day. So I took that time. I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to tell you guys about today's guest. Today's guest, great friend of mine, once again, as always. You know, the Tik Talks podcast is a family thing, no matter what. And I met this dude when I was 12 years old. He played high school basketball, competed in cross country, baseball, went on to Ithaca College in New York and played basketball there on the basketball team for 3 years. Before his 4th year, he kind of decided to focus on his career goals. Now he's at Tufts Medical School in his 3rd year of Tufts Medical School, and he's doing amazing things. He's an extremely, extremely dynamic human being. I love having the conversation with him anytime that we have a convo, even off the mic. I feel like sometimes me and him, we sit and talk for 3 or 4 hours, and we've been doing that since, once again, we were 12 years old. So without further ado, the introduction, Mr. Aidan Fite. I appreciate you for coming out on the podcast, and I can't wait for you guys to hear our amazing convo. Thanks. All right. Welcome, Aidan Fite. How are you doing, my guy?
Thank you, Tay. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. I'm wearing my my Chargers shirt in honor of you having me on the show. So thank you for having me.
Outing me as a Chargers fan already. All right. Well, we're going to get into some NFL football later on in the podcast, but I've been friends with you. Shoot, let's think. How long? Since 7th grade? Somewhere between 6th and 7th grade at this point.
Yeah.
And ever since I've known you, you've had a little bit of a nickname. The nickname Ray Aidan. Can you just tell me a little bit about the nickname Ray Aidan and where that comes from?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. When you knew me, actually, like when we first met, I was tall but big. And so I was always like a center. I didn't really know how to shoot the ball for basketball wise at the time. And so I think the nickname actually sort of developed in 8th grade when I grew a little bit, got skinnier and stopped being a center and was more of a shooting guard and started just like really, become a shooter. And I think it was Moose at Brentwood who started calling me Ray Aidan, obviously like a play on Ray Allen, who was, one of the best shooters of all time. So that's where the name came. And then people just sort of adopted it. And whenever I would shoot a 3 or make a 3 or whatever, someone would just say Ray Aidan. So I think that's where it began.
Yeah, man. Shout out Moose. That's our high school coach. I think it's people probably think it's weird that we call him Moose, but that's his nickname. You know what I'm saying? So shout out, Ryan Bailey.
Yeah, I know. I always forget.
Coach Moose, Coach Bailey, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's our guy. So, yeah, speaking about high school basketball and stuff like that, obviously you went from playing high school basketball in LA to going to Ithaca, New York. What were some of the biggest differences you've seen between East Coast hoopers and West Coast hoopers?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess preface it by when we played in high school in LA, there was just such a high level of hoopers. Like, on our team, multiple D1 guys and then a handful of D3 guys. And, any given league night, we were playing, D1 guys. So hard to truly compare because I was going to the D3 level up in Ithaca. But with that being said, just like general differences that I noticed was And I hate to say it, being a West Coast hooper, but like East Coasters they're grittier.
Mm,
Like I think on the West Coast, I think people wanted to make sure their game looked good, make sure their moves and their layups look sexy, and like their jumpers look good. And on the East Coast, like it was more not as pretty, but get it done. And
hmm hmm
so I think the grittiness took a little bit of getting used to, but um, I'd say that's the biggest difference. But it's hard to compare again D3 versus where we were playing in high school when it was just the talent level was so high, like where we grew up and where we played in high school. So it's really no knock on either coast, just different styles.
Yeah. Being in LA and going to Ithaca, New York, two totally different places, just life wise as
Yeah.
well as basketball wise. What would you say was the biggest challenge for you going from being a high school kid in LA to going out to, a little bit? Ithaca's a bigger city, but, kind of the backwoods of New York,
No,
uh,
definitely.
from being a big, one of the biggest cities in the whole entire country. So, what was the biggest challenge that you faced,
Yeah,
during that time?
it was a culture shock. Like I it's weird to say because it's still in the U.S., but people on the East Coast, as you know as well, they're different than people on the West Coast.
Hmm
And like you said, Ithaca you were right. It's the sticks. It's rural. It's a college town, but there's not much else surrounding it. So, I had to adjust to living outside of LA for the first time in my life. Adjust to college basketball, which was hard in its own right with the schedules and sort of demands and trying to make a reputation for myself on the team, and then mix in Ithaca weather and then the winter. We never experienced the winter before, and I was over there wearing my slip-on Vans in the wintertime and sliding everywhere. So I'm so grateful for it. I think it taught me how to grow up, and sort of I had to mature through all these experiences. But I guess to answer your question, the biggest challenge was just being away from home and sort of having to, you know, be an adult somewhat. Although in college you think you're an adult, and then you get out of college and you realize there's more adult stuff. But still, I think just it goes far. It was far, and just being away from what I knew growing up was difficult. But as you know, playing basketball, like I'm so grateful that I had, instantly I had a group of people and I had a coach and I had, brothers who would help me with that transition. And it sort of made it way easier than if I didn't have that sport. So,
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I agree. Any transitioning from high school to college is hard enough, whether you don't have that automatic group or you do. And yeah, just going into a spot where, people are vastly different. Obviously for me, coming out of high school, I went to, just a couple hours north of Los Angeles to Fresno. And most of those kids come from the Bay or,
right.
just Central California. So they're, I can only imagine the culture shock from going from, Fresno's a big city, so if people don't like to believe it, but I think it's the fourth biggest city in California, behind San Diego, Los Angeles, and San Francisco.
Yeah.
So, but going from that, and I was still kind of, I wouldn't say shocked, but I was definitely like, oh yeah, these kids are way different than the kids that I, grew up with or around. So going from that, from Los Angeles to a small city in the sticks, like you said, definitely a big transition that I don't know if I would have been prepared for at the time.
It took some
Uh,
getting used to. No, that's true. And a lot of people from Ithaca, they weren't actually like, they didn't live in Ithaca. They came from Jersey, came from New York.
right.
So yeah, different mentality, different personalities on the East Coast. But yeah, I was about to ask you because you obviously had a little bit of a journey with your college like hoops. Did you notice different cultures, like different spots that you played at in terms of just like
Ooh.
personalities and everything?
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest, obviously, like culture shock was that that stint in Wyoming.
Yeah,
But man, I think El Paso, man, was also just, I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Our experience with El Paso is watching Glory Road, having Andrew Gardner, one of our good friends, do his little impressions of Glory Road every single day. Show him how to make a layup. You know what I'm saying? So that was our experience with West Texas.
right.
And so, going there, I had no idea what to expect. And it was way different. There's one main freeway, one main street, that everybody drives on. If there's a car crash on that street, then traffic throughout the whole rest of the city for
Right.
the next 4 to 5 hours, whatever. But El Paso's a lot bigger than I thought it was. And every time somebody came to visit, whenever I had family or friends come visit, watch a game, whatever, everyone's like, "Oh, this is way nicer and bigger than we thought it was going to be." But yeah, those people. It was just a huge culture shock to me, obviously being right next to Mexico, you
Right.
know. And Los Angeles has a huge Latinx population. But everywhere we went, it was just a whole bunch of, specifically a lot of obviously Mexican people. So Mexican pride. And I just learned a whole lot about the Mexican culture that I didn't really get when I was in Los Angeles as much. And that was just a huge change. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that I bought into it because we had a ton of fun and I learned a lot. So it was a fun, great experience, and I appreciate the people of El Paso. But yeah, huge change,
Huge change.
huge,
And I'm curious
huge
what you
change.
feel about it, but I feel like basketball was sort of like the grounding factor in all of it. Like, I only went to Ithaca, didn't bounce around, but despite the culture shocks and sort of all the other things you're getting used to in your new setting, like I feel like basketball was very grounding because that's a sport that we've been playing our whole life. And like, yeah, the styles might be a little bit different, but at the end of the day, like matters what's going on. You're having a tough time adjusting, the winter time, whatever. You get on the basketball court and you just sort of, it feels like home. So I felt like that was again, just grateful for that experience.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was the equalizer between me and all of my Texas native teammates
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I had in El Paso. It was definitely just a great equalizer where it's like, okay, we can speak basketball. I might not understand that dance y'all are doing over there, but as one of
too.
the older guys on the team, I'm like, I don't know, old man, I don't get how y'all do that dance that y'all do, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, basketball definitely helped. And speaking of basketball, but really just athletes in general, you know, big time LA sports fan growing up yourself. Who are your Los Angeles athlete Mount Rushmore? You can put 4 people up there. Who you got?
Of all time, or people that like we played against.
Nah, I would say all time. I mean, we could talk a little bit about the people we played against, but
Yeah,
we know about that. Maybe that's on part 2, but yeah, of
yeah,
all time.
it's tough. It's tough. There's so many talented athletes that came out of LA. I know the ones who come to my head off the bat, like I know Paul Pierce went to
Hmm.
Inglewood. I think he's got to be up there. I think Baron Davis might be biased because the whole Crossroads rivalry we had, but I feel like he um, was just, a hell of obviously a high school, college, and NBA athlete. We played against Aaron Holiday, but Drew Holiday, I feel like has just obviously continued to make a name for himself in the
Hmm.
league, and obviously killed it in high school.
Hmm.
And I'm not as big a football fan, but I know Deshaun Jackson as well, LA guy,
Hmm.
and I know he absolutely tore it up out there. So it's kind of those are the ones who come to my mind. I know there's tons other that I'm missing because there's just so much talent coming out of LA. But that's what I'd go with off the bat.
Respect,
Yeah,
respect. Surprised you didn't throw any baseball guys in there, but respect.
yeah, I know. I was thinking about Stanton too because he came. Did he go to Notre Dame?
Yeah, sure
Yeah,
did.
a handful of others, but I know.
Yeah, nah, I mean that's your list. That's a great list. I can't
Yeah,
complain. I
yeah,
can't complain. Shoot, Drew is a legend in the city. You know what I mean? Uh, man, D Jax, whew,
yeah.
that boy, he's always been fast. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, nah, I absolutely appreciate and love that list. I'm not gonna give mine, but
I was about to say, am I allowed to flip it onto you or no?
I'm not gonna give mine. I haven't put too much thought into it,
Yeah,
but I know I would throw Harden in there.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And I always got to definitely throw Stanley Jackson. Stanley
right,
Johnson, excuse me.
yeah,
If I got to talk about just as far as the time that he spent in Los Angeles, he was the man. He's probably the greatest California basketball player, high school basketball player, I should say, ever. You know what I'm saying? But seven rings. It speaks
Yeah.
for itself.
Yeah.
So, you know, respect to all those other dudes. There's a lot of great dudes, you know what I mean? Not LA guys. We're not going to talk about the IE guys, with, Kawhi and PG or whatever, but, you know, or like, didn't Clay go to Santa Margarita? Isn't he like a OC guy, Orange County guy or whatever?
I think so.
We don't really count that, but,
No,
you
Stanley's a
know,
great call. Stanley, I mean, we played against him a few times in high school. I mean, he just was an incredible player and
yeah.
athlete. So that's a great one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, but I think those are the two other ones that I would mention. Uh, some other football guys, you know, baseball guys definitely come to mind as well. But yeah, those are the two that I have a lot of knowledge,
For
a
sure.
ton of knowledge on. So yeah, all right. Well, Mister Doctor Aidan Fite, you know what I'm saying. For those who don't know, he's doing the medical school right now and doing absolutely fantastic in it, and he's gonna be my physician one day, or whatever I need of whatever path he chooses. If I need that type of care, I'm going to Aid and Fight in the future, just so you know, plug in my guy. But
I got you. I got you.
how, how did college athletics help you in your medical journey?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, you know, we can get into my journey into medicine, another time, but I never really thought I was going to get into it. But now that I'm in it, I see that so many of the lessons that athletics as a whole, and specifically basketball, taught me, the work ethic, being a part of a team, being disciplined, like so much of the stuff that we had to do on a day-to-day basis, just playing in high school, playing in college, carries over to medicine and the real world, not just medicine. But um, I think I take a lot of lessons there. And then specifically, I'm it's getting in the time of my med school career where I got to pick a specialty into what type of doctor I want to be, what kind of medicine I want to go into. And I'm leaning towards emergency medicine, which, like, to me, parallels athletics so much. Like, you are in a high stress environment. You are a member of a big team with nurses, respiratory therapists, social workers, and a million other people. Um, and you got to communicate, you got to stay calm under pressure, and you got to just, get the job done. And so I feel like that directly translates to athletics and to basketball for sure. So, yeah, there's a lot that carries over to my medicine.
Yeah, 100%. How do you think athletics or college athletics may have possibly hindered your growth and your post athletic life?
Hindered it. I don't think it has. I think it's really instilled just like a work ethic and a drive and a level of discipline who knows, if I didn't play sports, if I would have it. I would probably argue not. I think sports really helped me develop it. In terms of hindering it, um, I don't think it did. I ended up quitting after 3 years at Ithaca because I realized that my future of basketball was those days were limited, and sort of had to think about next steps and beyond. And so giving up the sport was hard, but I wouldn't say that it hindered my sort of post college career anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I just obviously wanted to give you the opportunity to say like, hey, it wasn't great or it was, and you're saying, hey, it worked out for me. It was great. It was
Right.
great for me. So, that's fair. That's fair. I agree with you wholeheartedly that like, I wouldn't be where I am today without, my opportunity to play college athletics. And it taught me a lot of the same lessons that you brought up. And just, I feel like it made me gritty, even though I'm an LA guy, you know what I'm saying, West Coast basketball player, but I feel like, it gave me a little grit and challenged me to be the man that I am today, and challenged me to, just put your head down and grind a little bit more when things get hard. So 100% agree with you. I wouldn't really say in any way that it necessarily hindered me in my post
Right.
athletic career as well.
You make
But
sacrifices throughout the athletic journey, and medicine. You have to make sacrifices as well. But yeah,
mhm.
again, I see that as parts of the journey and not sort of hindrances, if that's a word. But Yeah. One other thing I was just thinking when you were mentioning it too is I feel like basketball, and we sort of touched on it with the culture and playing in different parts of the country, but you interact with so many different personalities through the game of basketball. Like obviously we had our high school team, but playing AAU. Um,
Hmm.
I went down to Long Beach and went down, played BTI, and just sort of interacted with so many different personality types. And that's what, as a doctor, if I'm working in the ER, I could have 100 different patients. They could have 100 different backgrounds with 100 different stories. And I feel like, that there's also connection there with basketball, because that's sort of, you got to connect with teammates from completely different backgrounds. So,
100%.
yeah,
100%. So when did you know that you wanted to become a doctor?
man, I didn't, for a long time. As my parents are in the medical field, so I always sort of had it. That influence was always there, but my parents never pressured me, and I think I always was a little bit rebellious growing up, and I wanted to do something different than what they were doing. And as you know, in high school, I wasn't the best academic person. I was probably more focused on sports and whatever else a younger Aidan was focused on at the time. Um, so I went into college, like not really knowing what I wanted to do, and sort of through trial and error, ended up majoring in something called exercise science, also known as kinesiology, and because I knew I was interested in exercise and sports, and I
Hmm.
started to just start taking some science classes, and I think it was through those classes where I realized how cool the human body is, how how much I do love science. I think I started turning into a little bit of a nerd in college and in high school. I think I was scared to embrace that part of me. Um, and so, sorry, long winded answer, but to fully answer it, I think it was a combination of falling in love with science and having great professors at Ithaca. I started volunteering at a hospital in Ithaca and sort of falling in love with just sort of the hustle and bustle of a hospital and taking care of patients. Um, and that sort of got my mind intrigued, and then I just started making other decisions and trying it, and here I am. So
Yeah, 100%. I think, a lot of kids in high school, because we have to learn, general things that, don't always end up helping us out later on in life, can get a little bored and,
yeah,
just not focus. I'll tell that. I'll tell you, I wasn't always the most focused on what was going on in class, but I had some other extenuating circumstances that made it a little bit harder for me to always focus on school.
yeah,
But you know, uh when I got to college as well and I started focusing on, my focus, which, was communication and stuff like that, I really like just opened up and, like you said, became a little bit of a nerd and really started to dive deep in, the communication field and see how great it would be for me to kind of challenge myself to continue to get better in this. And it was something I was passionate about. So I worked incredibly hard at it and, whatever, ended up
right,
graduating college with a 4.0. But like
yeah,
it was just because it didn't feel like school. You know what I mean? I was really just like, hey, I'm here to get better every day, just like I'm grinding in basketball. I'm like, well, I know that in the future I want to, kind of put the mic in front of my face and the camera in front of my face. So
yeah,
I got to get better at this. I got to get better at talking to people. I got to get better at writing. And anything that I could do to get better at that, I was just going to take on that challenge. So school didn't really start to feel like school anymore at that time. So it made it a little bit easier. So
right.
100% agree.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's how you found something you like, is when it doesn't feel like work. And I feel the same about medicine. I mean, obviously it's a grind and there are days that are hard, but when I keep asking myself, if I ask myself the why am I doing this? Why did I choose this path? I answer that question really easily because I'm just in love with, you know, the science and sort of the underneath, what's going on underneath someone who comes in the ER with chest pain or
Mhm.
a broken shoulder. So, anyways, so it's
Yeah,
good.
100%. 100%. I wanted to ask you, since you talked about it kind of being a grind sometimes, what are some of the challenges you face in medical school that the common person wouldn't think about?
Yeah, med school is a grind for sure. I mean, it's a grind to get to med school in the first part. You got to do certain things to boost your resume, make certain sacrifices academically, and take tests and all that other stuff. Um, I think what people don't understand is really in med school, there's really no days off. It's kind of a bit of a rat race because in the medical career, there's always, if you're in college, you're trying to get to med school. If you're in med school, you're trying to get to residency. If you're in residency, you're trying to get either a fellowship or boost your resume enough to get a good job. And sort of the cycle is ongoing. And so I think that's what makes med school difficult is even if you're done with studying for the day, or if I'm done with the hospital work for the day, there's always more work that you could be doing to put yourself in a better position for the future. And so because of that, people rarely take days off because there's, again, always another thing they can do. So
Right.
that's been hard because it's impossible to take no days off. And also I'm someone who likes to maintain perspective on like there are other things in life other than medicine, and there are other things that are important to me. So I think just finding that balance of making sure I'm doing the work, put myself on the right foot forward in the future, but also making sure to enjoy this life and sort of other things that are not medicine related. So
Yeah, I'm glad you actually brought that up because I wanted to ask you about your hobbies outside of sports and outside of medicine, obviously that you kind of picked up along the way.
yeah, I said, as I mentioned earlier, I played 3 years at Ithaca and ended up quitting on the fourth year. And I wanted to, because basketball took up so much of our time, I was like, I got to have something to fill this space. Obviously, I'm gonna be studying more. I ended up taking a night class to get my EMT certification, which ultimately helped with the whole med school thing. But I wanted some other activity, so I found a gym in Ithaca and started boxing with this guy named Patrick O'Connor who owned his gym. And I had never boxed before. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know how to hold my hands up or what a jab was. And this guy he was a beast. Actually, fun little fact, John Jones grew up like in and around Ithaca. And
Hmm.
this guy whose gym I joined, he helped train John Jones. This was many years ago, but before he sort of became the UFC
Before
fighter.
he came John Jones.
Yeah. So I always thought it was funny to me, like this, me, I don't know how to fight for anything. And this dude was training John Jones, was like, hitting me on the head and telling me not to drop my hands and just kind of whipped me into shape. So boxing has been awesome. I'm still doing it to this day. I boxed last night. I'm still trash at it, but it's a great workout. So that's been a big hobby. And other than that, just reading, cooking, hanging out with friends. I love nature. Although on the East Coast, it's tough this time of year to really get outside. But so yeah, those are some of my hobbies, I'd say, and they're so important, during the grind, as to sort of gotta get your mind off of whatever it may be. For me, it's medicine. It is important.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of that movie Never Back Down. Have you seen that one?
No.
It's you should watch it. It's like, it's whatever. It's like a teen movie, so it's not like gonna be the best movie that you've ever seen in your life, but it's like this kid who like you're nothing like this kid, but it's this guy who doesn't know anything about boxing or whatever, and like he like gets the opportunity to learn from somebody who's like world class, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And like there's a story to it. You should watch it. I think it's like one of those fun teen movies that you don't have to like pay too much attention to, but
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. It's got some good action. They like I think they do like MMA, so like it's not like straight up boxing. It's like
Yeah.
kickboxing and stuff like that. And it's like this crazy Florida high school. It like kind of reminds me a little bit of like the school that we went to, just a
Yeah.
little bit. But just exaggerated, super overly exaggerated version of the high school that we went to. But yeah, you should check it out. Absolutely, pretty funny, pretty fun movie or whatever.
Okay. I will. There sounds like some similarities there. He would definitely kick my butt every single day. If I drop my hands, 1 inch, he'd hit me in the face with the pad, or if I raise my hands up too much, he'd hit me in the stomach. So
Yeah,
yeah, that I'll have to check it out. That's
man, you might be world class at this point. You
oh,
might need to
absolutely
need to put you up against John Jones. No, I'm just playing.
not. No,
All
no,
right.
no.
So, can you tell me about your craziest med school story?
Craziest med school story. That's a good question. Again, the first 2 years of med school, for those who don't know, although I think every school is structured a little bit differently, but for the way it works at Tufts, which is where I'm at. The first 2 years were pretty much in the classroom and really learning like the basic sciences and the foundations of medicine. So I don't have any real crazy stories from those 2 years because that was just sort of, academic grind time. But this year I started working, it's called our rotational year. So we're actually in the hospital, seeing patients, doing stuff that we went to med school for, which is awesome. But, I have a ton of crazy stories from this year just already with the few months I've been in it. I just finished my psychiatry rotation at a state mental hospital. And so you could write a book or a movie about each patient that I was seeing in that place. But I guess to directly answer your question, sort of the welcome to third year moment was when I was on my OBGYN rotation and I was on labor and delivery. And the doctor said, Aidan, do you mind go ahead and checking in on this patient in room 12 or whatever? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure thing. It's my first day. I had no idea what to expect. I go into the room and the mother in the room is just like screaming and crying. And she's like, I think my baby's about to come out. Like, you got to get someone. I'm like, oh, shit, okay. Like, bet. So I go run out, get the doctor. I was like, I think she's about to deliver. Like, I didn't know anything about the patient, didn't know anything about delivering babies. It was my first day. And next thing you know, she was. So we put our gown and gloves on and like the doctor grabs my hands and puts the hands on the baby and like pretty much like helps me deliver this kid. Again, I had no idea what I was doing.
Wow.
There was a lot of fluids everywhere. It was a messy experience, but this doctor was super cool, like super composed. I'm over here like, I don't know what I'm doing, but helped deliver a baby. And then ultimately was able to deliver like almost 20 to 30 kids throughout that rotation, which was just like a crazy experience. So that was sort of that's one of the many crazy med school stories and sort of a welcome to third year moment for me.
That's crazy. You gotta like name. You gotta get another cat. Shout out Aiden's cat, Moxie. Get another cat and then name it after the first baby that you delivered, bro. Because that's a crazy story.
That's a fact. This is probably a few more babies later, but there was a baby that was named Aidan, and so I just after it came out, I handed it to the mom. I was like, "You picked a good name," but
Dap her up. Yeah, man. All right. So you talked about going back a little bit to the hobby. You talk about cooking, and I've seen you cook and chef it up a couple of times here and there. Actually, going back, shout out to Andrew again, our boy Ace. I hit him up and I was like, yo, let me get a couple questions. So a couple of these questions actually come from him and aren't off the top of my head, and this is one of them. But I guess he really wants to know, what's your diet?
See, I know why Ace is asking you that because he's making fun of me with that question because my diet is a bit fraudulent, you could say. I had sort of a normal diet, high school, college, end of college, watched a couple documentaries, the classic, sob story. I watched those, against animal cruelty and sort of the pro-vegan vegetarian movement documentaries that absolutely messed me up. And I was like, I'm going to give it a try. And so since like 2019-ish, I've been pseudo vegetarian, but I think the reason that Ace wanted to ask that is because I now call myself a flexitarian because I'll eat really whatever if the situation calls for it. But left to my own devices, as you've seen, I'll cook vegetarian, veggie burgers, eggs, whatever it may be. But my thought process is, and I stand by this, like if I'm going to your house, right, and your mom is cooking her favorite meal and it has meat in it, like I'm not going to be the dude who's like, oh no, Danielle, I can't have that because I'm vegetarian. She just worked hours to make it. Right. If the situation calls for a little bit of, eating some beef or eating whatever it may be, if I'm going in and out, then I'll do it.
If I'm going to in and out, it's crazy. No, but I get it, bro. That's why I kind of try to avoid milk. I still eat ice cream and stuff like that, but like I haven't eaten cereal in years. Like don't just drink milk straight up. I never was really kind of a fan of drinking milk straight up, but yeah, I saw like, the videos or whatever about how they treat these cows that, produce milk for us and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to cut down on this. And like obviously there's some baking recipes where like you need it. And so like I try to get like the tiniest little carton I can of it, whatever. Like probably makes zero difference. But like myself understand how those documentaries and videos can kind of sway you into changing up with how you eat. And as the time passes, you kind of it's not that bad, is it? You know what I mean? You kind of forget.
Exactly.
you
I
know
was stricter with it back, and now I realize that everything in moderation. But with that being said, I do like. Well, I'm consider myself plant based for the most part, I guess, and I do like how I feel with that, and sort of how my body reacts to that. So it's all trial and error with diets. Some people do well with this certain diet, some people don't. So I think it's super individualized. But yeah, I've definitely loosened it up a little bit throughout as the years have gone on.
Yeah, and I 100% envy you for that because I couldn't change my diet if I really wanted to. I was raised on a southern a southern, my family from New Orleans is a southern
Yeah.
Creole diet, and it's like, yeah, I need that butter in there. I need
Even the
that.
vegetables have pork and bacon in.
Right, and
I,
sugar and all different types of stuff on it, man. My
I feel you
grandma
too.
used to make me carrots with sugar on them. That was the only way I would eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The
Well,
cooked carrots, you know what I mean? They got a little sugar on it. Yeah, bro.
you
All
know,
bad.
I got
All
family in
bad.
Tennessee, and I know a little bit about that southern cooking. And we used to always make fun of. We go to Cracker Barrel, and they always have the vegetable of the day. When we go down there, and it would always be like green bean casserole or collard greens, but it would always have, like you said, sugar, butter, and like bacon in it. So it was never just the vegetable of the day. But we always got a kick out of that. But no, the southern
Yeah.
cooking is crazy. I feel you.
All right. Yeah. All right. Now look, I gotta ask you this question because I've never asked you this question, but I kind of always wondered this.
Uh-oh.
And I don't know why I never asked this because it's not that big of a deal. But I want to know, would you rather hit a walk-off home run or a game winner from half court?
Uh, Both are like great. You can't go wrong with either of those. But
Eating
uh,
good that night. Either way,
oh,
you're feeling good,
oh,
eating
you're turning
good.
good. You're turning up. But
You're sending that risky text.
yeah, you're letting everything fly after that. Uh, I'm not gonna lie to you, Tay. Though I like when I'm feeling down or like I feel like I need a little motivation. This has probably been for in the last couple of years. Really, when I started med school, I'll go on YouTube and search like best walk off home runs, and or it's just walk off moments. But a lot of them are home runs, and those fire me up like no other. And so I feel like my answer to the question is hitting a walk off. Just because I think when the crowd goes crazy, you do the bat flip, you sort of do your trotter on the bases. I think that's such a special moment. And then also, as you know, from my brief baseball playing career, I was never much of a power hitter. So if I could go back and hit one more time, I think that would be fire. But both you can't go wrong with either of those.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking about baseball, we're about to start baseball season next month. We're getting into spring training coming up here in a few weeks, maybe even less than that. I need to know, who are the top three guys that you're excited to see this year?
As you know, I'm a Dodger fan, so I'm biased. Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, obviously, is Shohei. We've made a lot of changes to our rotation. Although, with that being said, Shohei, I think, is not going to be pitching this season as he rests his shoulder. But I'm really curious about some of the other pitchers they brought in too. I know we got a Glass now from the Rays. Was he on the Rays last time,
Yep. Yep.
but I know obviously he was a killer a few years ago, and now there's some question marks behind his health and sort of he still got it. So I'm curious to see how he is. And then I just love the Dodgers. I'm hyped for Dustin May to get back. I know he's been battling injuries. I like Walker Bueller. I know we got Kershaw, and then we also got the other pitcher from Japan. I'm blanking on his name. I don't want to mispronounce his name, but I'm also curious how he performs in the big leagues. And so I know that's more than three, and they're all Dodgers. But that would be my answer. I'm just hyped for baseball season. I'm hyped for the Dodgers, and I think we got pitching finally. I hope if everyone can stay healthy, I like our chances.
Yeah, I think I'm excited. Definitely grew up Dodger fan. I'm definitely excited to see Walker Bueller get back out there, and I hope that he can kind of return to form because I think his stuff is just electric to watch. I spent a lot of time in that stadium watching those games, and dude, he's just so good. The movement is, just great, and when he's on, it's just like the world can't touch him. So
Oh yeah.
I'm hoping that he can have a fully healthy season once he returns. He'll be exciting to watch. Uh, wow, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. My Red Sox people are gonna hate me for this, but I'm excited to see what Verdugo's gonna do in New York,
Yeah, that's a good
just
call.
because I thought he was very fun to watch, as a as a Dodger, as a Red Sox, and now I'm just excited to see like what is that going to look like for him, you know what I mean, being over there with Booney, being over there in New York where the media is just a little bit harsher than it is in Boston. um and from the times that I've kind of seen him around or seen him out and stuff like that, he's been a really great person. So I am excited to just see him have a new opportunity, because I know it didn't really end as well as people would have hoped that it would have ended here in Boston. But I'm excited to see him. And then, who I absolutely love watch swing the bat randomly. And my cousin asked me this the other day, like, who do you love watch swing the bat? Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about the swing, but I just absolutely love that dude's swing. And when he
No
makes
gloves
contact,
too, right?
right? Yeah, no gloves. And when he makes contact, dude, that ball just jumps off the bat. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see him get another opportunity to, play some ball this year. And honestly, throwing out another person, I'm excited to see Trout again, man.
Yeah.
He's going to be back in a situation where he doesn't have that, that second guy, not saying that I don't know how you freaking rate those two dudes when they're playing great baseball. I mean, him and Ohtani, when they're both playing great baseball, Jesus Christ, it's hard to say who's one and who's two.
Yeah.
But definitely, excited to see Trout get back out there and hopefully have a great season when he came to Fenway last year. Um, Once again, when that ball hit that bat, just absolutely jumped out of the stadium. So, hoping that he has a great year as well.
Those are all great calls. I mean, he's one of the best to do it for years and years and years. The Angels of the franchise have been, it's been a difficult place for him to play. I hope that they can get it together because he's, a generational talent. Verdugo's a great call too. I've always loved Verdugo and his chains and just his swag. I think he'll be ready for the moment in New York. And yeah, Bueller too. I love Bueller. He's always so interesting to me, like because he's so skinny and his frame is just it's kind of scrawny. Although I'm sure he's stronger than he looks. But then he just throws the gas and has great movement on his all of his pitches really. So yeah, like great calls.
Yeah. All right, man. So look, now we gotta get a little bit back into you.
Okay.
How do you scratch that competitive itch that all athletes have now that you're done playing in official games?
Yeah, I think a lot of athletes when their career ends have a tough time, because on a daily basis you're battling whether your teammates or against your opponents, and you just go from competitive days for years to just all of a sudden it's done and it sort of evaporates. So it's a great
Mhm.
question. I think for me, I joined a men's league out here. I played a few times, so I still do play basketball, and although it's not as competitive and not as gruesome as what it once was, it's still fun to get into it and to make some shots every now and then.
Mhm.
Boxing, as we mentioned earlier, has been super cathartic for me. I'm not fighting against anyone, so that would truly be competitive. But just hitting the bag and sort of training has been really nice. I feel like it's allowed me to sort of get out some of the steam that uh, I was able to do when I was playing basketball. So those are probably my two. I'm grateful that my knees are still holding up and I'm still able to play. So when the day comes that I can no longer play basketball, that's gonna be difficult. But I still love the sport so much, and I still get a lot of competitive itch sort of scratched in the hoops that I'm still playing.
Yeah, and to go onto the boxing thing, it's a workout, man. And then
Oh yeah,
I feel like anytime that like I lift or whatever, and then I get that like that sore, that like not like the crazy soreness, but like that tight feeling and that soreness, it just like a little bit scratches that itch in the
sure,
back of my mind competitively, where I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like ready to go, like I feel like an athlete again. You
sure.
know what I'm saying? So yeah, hitting that bag, it's a lot harder than people think who haven't hit that bag. It's not, it's not easy. It looks easy because these dudes that we watch do it are professionals, but it's that thing is hard to punch. You know what I mean? You punch it once when you're a kid and you figure out like, oh, this thing is dense. Hold
Yeah,
on. If I
it's
don't punch this right, I'm gonna hurt myself.
seriously,
So
seriously, and you'll be dripping in sweat. It's full body workout. It's a great workout. But just another thing I thought about too is like, when we were playing organized sports, competitive sports, the main source of competition was against other people.
mhm,
But I think now it's transitioned for me at least to like the main source of competition is just myself, trying to better
mhm,
myself. Whether it be with boxing, whether it be with athletics, if I'm trying to, I signed up for a half marathon in a couple of months. So I'm going to try to see how I can do with that. But also just, and I know we've talked about like from a career standpoint and sort of, and just not getting satisfied and sort of trying to compete with myself and sort of get to that next level. So I think that sort of mindset shift has been helpful for me as well.
yeah. Okay. All right. Let me see that shirt one more time, real quick. Oh yeah, that's fire. All right. You see I got the red on.
Yeah.
Obviously, this weekend we got coming up the Super Bowl. It's going to be a very red Super Bowl. I need to know who you think is going to win.
I got the Niners. I'm sick of the Chiefs. I don't want them to win. And my old basketball coach, sort of the guy who taught me, introduced me to the game of basketball, Mike Sutton, is a huge Niners fan. And whenever they're playing, I'll shoot him a text, see how he's feeling, see how he's doing. So I want him to get one. I want them to get one. And, the Chiefs have had their time. So in terms of X's and O's, I'm not the biggest, I don't know a ton about football. You know way more than I do about that. But from just a basic fan perspective, I'm hoping the Niners will get it.
Yeah, I don't think I have a horse in the race.
Yeah,
I'm not really rooting for either team to win, but somebody's got to win the game. And I think it's going to be the Chiefs. So I guess on Sunday, me and you are going to be going at it, even though neither of us have a horse in the race. So we
yeah,
really don't honestly care who wins.
yeah, exactly.
But I think I'm predicting the Chiefs to win this one. I just think Patty Mahomes he's the greatest. Gonna be at the end of the day,
Oh,
he'll
yeah,
probably end up being the greatest to ever play the position. So no disrespect to Mr. Brady. But I think Patrick Mahomes is going to end up getting there one day. It's going to take he's a long ways away, so it's going to take a
yeah.
long time. But I just think at least right now he's just untouchable. They struggled to start the season this year, and people were writing them off, and look where they are now, right back
Yeah.
in the championship game. You know what I mean? So I think that he's the ultimate difference maker, and I think that he's going to take over that game at one point and just win it for him. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, all right. We're
Well, you
also
gotta be
getting
careful though, saying that Brady's not the best on these New England streets around here.
Oh man, he is the best. I didn't say that he wasn't. I just said when it's all said and done, the trajectory that Pat is on, it looks like he
Really,
might end up being that guy if he wants to continue to play for that long. You know what I
right.
mean?
I
It's
agree.
all
I
up
agree.
to
I'm
him.
hyped for Usher though. At the end of the day, I'm about to be turned up for halftime show. So
Yeah. Oh no, Usher. No, I'm locked in. That's probably
yeah,
the time I'm going to be most locked in.
I
It's
completely agree. I completely agree. I'm already started
like
bumping him this week. I'm getting ready.
no one talked to me. You know what I mean? He's got a new album out too. You know what I'm saying? Definitely, y'all should go stream that. I'm not getting paid for it, but it's just saying, you gotta go listen to his new stuff too. But all
Yeah.
right, we also have some All Star activities coming up. We've had Pro Bowl just pass, and the NBA All Star is coming up. Honestly, we know that the viewership has kind of been, the steadily declining from our childhood days till now. So this is your opportunity. You got a mic in front of your face. Give me some suggestions that the NFL and the NBA can do to kind of spice up their All-Star / Pro Bowl weekends.
I'm not going to act like I don't even tune into the Pro Bowl. To be honest with you, I haven't watched a single Pro Bowl my entire life, so I can't even comment on what is going well or what's not going well. Maybe that speaks for itself right there. But in terms of NBA All Star Weekend, I'm a huge fan of that. I've always been locked into it. I personally think that in the past few years, the league has tried to do too much with the 3-point contest, with the skills, and I respect the creativity and sort of adding new ideas. Um, but like I guess it's the old head in me, but like I just want to see like the good old fashioned dunk contests. I don't need any crazy strings attached with it. I want to see good old fashioned East versus West All Star game, like back when we were in elementary school and in middle school, which I think they're doing again this year, which I'm excited about. So I guess to answer the question, like I would just go back to the basics, and I think that that's what a lot of people want to see, as opposed to trying to do new stuff every year and changing the different balls and the scoring. And it's just, I think sometimes they do a little bit too much. So that's, I guess I'm sounding like a grumpy old man with that, but that's what I would say.
I mean, it's like Fortnite. Fortnite went back to like chapter 1 or whatever, and they had their viewership and their, people playing the game at like an all-time high. So, maybe it is, maybe for a year or two, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just let's go back to the basics. Let's do it the old school style. Maybe they can, up the incentives, so maybe the top superstars really want to get in the dunk contest, because while it is great to see, the young guys who are just athletic and maybe not as big of a talent and get opportunity to showcase what they can do, on the rim and stuff like that. That's what made the dunk contest, seeing Michael Jordan, seeing Kobe, seeing Vince Carter, you know what I mean? These like young actual stars, get in it and get the opportunity to showcase their talent. And I think like seeing JB, Jalen Brown, getting there now this year kind of like up the ante for me, because I'm like, oh yeah, like, you know what I mean? We're gonna get to see Jalen Brown. Like, this is an all-star that we get to see, you know what I mean? Or a former
Yeah.
all-star will be an all-star again, you know what I mean? That we get to see just on the rim. Let's see what he can do. You know what I mean? So I 100% agree. At least for a year, let's go back.
Back to
Let's
the
go
basics.
back old school.
Why not? I need somebody out there with a flip video camera or with an old school video camera, filming. I need the baggy jeans. Like let's
Book is gonna have it.
yeah,
Book is
yeah.
gonna have it.
Oh yeah, he will. He will. Who else is in it, by the way? I know is
We
Hawkes in
got
it?
Jaime Jaquez,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to remember who else. I think, did they invite Mac McClung back? I think he got invited back, maybe not. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. But I no disrespect to those guys, but I think that kind of, proves our point right there. You know what I mean? We're, a week or two away from it, and we have no idea who's in it
Right.
besides JB, because it was a huge thing, and Jaime's from like where we from. So,
Right.
and that's why we know. But otherwise, we kind of aren't really tapped into who it is that's competing.
100%.
And speaking about All-Star Weekend, can you tell me about your dream NBA celebrity game starting five? And actually, if you have another one, because you probably will, you can give me one off the bench too, if you got it.
So non hoopers, because I know sometimes they'll have like old hoopers playing it. You're talking about just like strict celebrities.
Let me get on my soapbox real quick.
All right, hit me.
Can we stop putting WNBA players in the celebrity game? Not because I don't want to see WNBA players. They're incredibly talented. I think that they should have a platform like that. And they do. They have a WNBA All-Star weekend. But why are we putting all these All-Star caliber women playing against Kai Cenat? Kai
Yeah,
Cenat can't even hoop. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a disrespect to the
I agree.
talent of the WNBA players that two people have to come and represent. And I have no idea, you know what I mean, if they really want to or if they don't. But I just think, you know what I mean? It's kind of just a like we're putting them out there with all these non-hoopers, you know what
Right.
I mean? When that's their profession. I think they should be coaches. I love listening to Candace. I love listening to Lisa. You know what I'm saying? I hear, Asia every once in a while. I hear Kelsey Plum speak. They all speak so well, and I love hearing them talk, and they're funny and all that other stuff. So having them on the sideline joking with, you know what I mean, Kai Cenat about, hey man, when are you gonna make a shot? Whatever. Like that, I think that would be hilarious. But can we stop putting them in the game because they're just way too talented for it, and it's a disrespect. We don't put
Yeah,
NBA players in the game, so why would we put WNBA
completely
players in the
agree.
game?
Completely agree. It's like sending a varsity dude down to like the seventh, eighth grade basketball practice, and like it's just like it's disrespectful.
Right.
I don't know why they do. I don't know who started it, but I know in baseball they do the same thing with the celebrity game. Like they got old baseball players coming in and like hitting just like absolute bombs with the softball
Right.
game, and that
And
is all.
hold on. I understand that though. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because they're done, they're retired, blah
yeah,
blah
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
They got their,
They have
they got their
current,
little belly going on. But like having current
right.
WNBA all stars playing the celebrity game,
That
it's
doesn't
like,
make sense.
it doesn't make sense. I just
Completely
think they're too talented, and I think there was a point where the WNBA needed more publicity, and whatever. And like I said, I want them to be a coach. I think it's fun to hear them. If you watch the game, hear them they're mic'd up, hear them on the sideline laughing with the other celebrities that are watching the games and stuff like that. Whatever. I think that's great, but I think their sport has grown to a point where we don't need to disrespect them in that way. You know what I'm saying? By putting them down with, like you said, playing against JV dudes. So, all right. But yes, non-professional basketball players or whatever that you would like to see in the game. And I'll give you my 5/6 after this as well.
All right, I'm curious to hear about yours. I got a bunch of random names that popped to my head, so I'll just give you what came up first. I'd love to see Obama in the celebrity game. I know he's a hooper. I know there's like a lot of videos of him hooping, but I don't think he's ever actually played in the celebrity game.
Yep.
I feel like getting him out there would be great.
That's
Um,
crazy off rip. I'm not even gonna lie. That's a great start. That's a great start. Go ahead, keep going.
here. This is the most eclectic group that has just come to my head. But as you know, we've been watching a lot of the One Bite Pizza reviews from Portnoy. I'm not even like the biggest Barstool fan, but I have gone on board of those One Bite Pizza reviews. And it's crazy to say Obama and Portnoy's name next to each other, but I would think he would be just a hilarious character to have both either in the game or like on the sideline of the game. He's obviously a big sports fan and just a funny dude. So I like
100%.
I like watching athletes play the celebrity game that are like professional athletes that are in a different sport. One that came to mind was Mookie. I know he's a bowler more than anything, but he's also just a great athlete, and I feel like he could be sneaky good at hoops.
Shout out, wait, before you go on, shout out to Mookie. I've heard about him playing, pickup games here when he was in Boston and stuff like that. And man, I heard he was a cold piece, man. So yeah, Mookie's a great pick. Keep going.
Okay.
All right, keep
All
going.
right, good. Yeah, I had a feeling he could hoop. I would say I got two more. I feel like he may have been in it. I'm thinking about rappers now. Like I would go with I'm between 2 Chainz or Lil Wayne. You could throw both of them in there. I know 2 Chainz actually was a hooper and can still hoop.
Mm-hmm.
I know J. Cole was in it. I don't.
It doesn't matter if they were in it or not. This is
Anyways,
your top 5,
I'm
baby.
throwing 2 Chainz in there. I like to see him hoop, and then I'd like to see SZA get in there. I don't. That's another name that came to my head. I feel like we
Okay.
need more female representation in the celebrity all-star game, and I'd like to see SZA hoop.
Hey man, I love that list, and it's so funny because I feel like a lot of our lists is really kind of similar or whatever. But I don't have Obama's a ringer, man. And we could get Obama in a celebrity game right now. Actually, you know what? This is me getting on another soapbox. Put Obama in a celebrity game. We need it for the culture. That would be amazing. All right, here's my starting
All right, hit me.
5/6. I got, one coming off the bench. First, I need Calvin Johnson, Megatron.
Oh, nice.
I think prime Megatron on the rim, the lob threats. You know what I'm saying? Who's stopping that in a celebrity game? He's going crazy. He's at least getting 25, at least. The professor. Shout
Oh,
out to the and one days. You
oh
know
yeah.
what I mean? And one was huge when we were growing up. I think having the professor, you know what I mean, in the celebrity game would be just fun. He's gonna give us that globetrotter energy. He's gonna be the one throwing the lobs to Calvin Johnson and dishing it out to people and hitting it off his elbow like Jason Williams or whatever. So yeah, we need that definitely in the All-Star game. I mean, the celebrity game. I also want Snoop Dogg, rapper, like you said. Snoop used to hoop a little bit. Tall, got a jumper. Gonna be hilarious.
Yeah,
Obviously, he broadcasts as well, and he's always hilarious anytime he gets on a broadcast. So, any chance I have to get Snoop mic'd up playing hoop, I can't complain.
I like that one.
Next, this one kind of goes back because he played in our high school gym in a open run a little bit, and I've heard about his hooping skills. I wasn't there that time that he played, but I've heard about it. Adam Sandler, man, Adam
Yeah,
Sandler. I
we
think
need
he
Adam
would be.
Sandler for sure.
I think he would be a great one. You know what I mean? Shout out to the Jewish community. You know what I mean?
We need his
I think
baggy wearing shirt and shorts out there for sure.
Yep, we need it out there. All
Yeah,
right. And then, as you said, we need some female representation. So I put her. I watched
nice.
that video with her and Mikhail. I like the jumper. So I'm
Yeah,
like, I need her on the team. You know what I mean? I need her on the team. And then, I did my research about this person. I'm not sure if they would play because they didn't really have a great time shooting this movie or at least preparing for the role. But I need Sanaa Lathan because of Love and Basketball. Also, another soapbox that I gotta stand on. Quincy McCall, terrible dude. Does not deserve Sanaa in that movie at
yeah,
all.
agreed.
At all. Terrible dude in that movie. I'm like, this is supposed to be a love story. This is terrible. This guy's awful. He doesn't even deserve the chance. When he hit the girl and said, like, yo, you want to come to Burger King with us? I was like, oh no. That's when he fully lost me. I was like, yeah, bro.
Completely agree.
I can't root. I can't root for it.
Oh,
Can't root for this love. He don't respect you. You know what I'm saying? He don't. So, but yeah, that's my 5/6.
that's
Yeah,
great. That's a great list. That'll be an entertaining game for sure.
yeah. All right. So I need to ask you
Yeah.
about this. Shout out to Ace, another Ace question. Which actor would play you in high school, college, and then now? So three different actors, maybe two, they maybe a couple of them can be the same, whatever. But your high school Aiden, your college Aiden, and your present day Aiden. What are the actors that are playing you in a movie?
Uh, damn, this is a good one. I think if I'm thinking about like who I was into actor wise when I was in high school, college versus now, and I think that's like gonna help determine my answer. But I feel like I remember vividly seeing Wolf of Wall Street when we were on a Palm Springs basketball tournament. Leo, also LA native, he was just like he still is, revered in many people's eyes, including mine. But in high school, I feel like it was a different animal. And Wolf of Wall Street came out like that had people just going crazy. So I feel
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
having him, a younger Leo, play me in high school would be awesome. Someone asked me this question recently about like who I would want it to be now, or I guess we can go to college next. It's kind of random, but I feel like Shia LaBeouf would be like an interesting actor to have.
Okay.
He's creative, funny. I feel like I wouldn't be mad if he played my sort of college days, and then my present days. When you asked me the question, the first thing that came to my mind was the actor who plays House. I think Hugh Laurie, I think his name is, and so
Yeah.
we'll have a younger Hugh play my current and future Doctor days.
Okay. All right. All right.
Good
You
question. Shout
know,
out Ace. Shout out Ace.
shout out Ace, and that really made me think of with the whole actor thing, you love doing impressions. What are your best actor/character impressions?
Ace is truly the one who is better at it than I am. He taught me the Borat impression. I think probably my best one has been for years, and it's not that good, but I got to go with the Forrest Gump / Bubba. I do a good, the shrimp, boil shrimp. fried shrimp, that shrimp scene. I can go for minutes on that one, and I think I got to keep a little Forrest Gump, so we'll go with that.
I agree. I think that's the one that makes me die out laughing every single time. All right. So we just hit the hour mark and we're going to be wrapping up somewhat shortly here, but we got to get into the music section
All right, all right.
of the podcast. And the first thing is I want to do a game with you. Is it okay that we do something new? Obviously, we got video this time, so I figure we do something a little bit new this time. Is that okay with you?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So the game that we're gonna play to get today is very, very simple. It's just name the song based off the lyrics. Now, I'm gonna let you know these songs that I picked are based off of the knowledge of music that I know that you used to listen to in high school. So it gives you a little bit of basis, makes it a little bit easier for you. So you got to go back and think about what it would be watching Leo in the Aidan Fite movie, listening to music and come up with your answers. All right, is that
All
cool
right,
with you?
that sounds good. I took a 4-hour test today, so just for all the people out there, if I don't do well, I got a little excuse, but this sounds good to me. I'm ready.
All right, so look, here's the first one,
All
okay?
right,
And I'm just gonna read it out. So I'm not giving you anything else besides the reading. Maybe I have a couple cadence in there, but I'm not singing the song, man. You
all
know
right.
what I'm saying? All right. So, cause my flight too private, my ride too private, my flight too private, my show so riot, my jaw so tired. I go all night in my city to the fall. Do you know that one off the top of your head? And I actually let me read it one more time because I think I said one of the words wrong. So I'm gonna get it right this time. All right. Cause my life too private, my ride too private, my flight too private, my show so riot, my jaw so tired. I go all night in my city to the fall.
This King of the Fall.
This is King of the Fall by the Weekend. I knew you would get that one off rip.
Yes,
If
sir.
any if anybody knows what was that senior year, junior year, Aiden? Oh my god.
Shout out
Love
Leland.
that song.
Actually, Leland King was the first person who truly put me on the weekend, and I always thought it was the craziest thing. To this day, when I hear about it, I think about it because we'd be on the bus over to the games, and everyone would have pump up music on. We'd be bumping some bangers, really trying to get in the mode. And I remember turning to Leland one day and asking him, what are you playing, Leland? He showed me Trilogy.
Yeah.
And I always thought that it was the craziest thing that he was listening to that before we about to play in a game. But he put me on, and I still play Trilogy probably every single week. So shout out Leland for that.
All right. Yeah. All right. So I threw you a softball that time. You know
Yep,
what I
yep.
mean? It's going to get a little bit harder this one. And
All right.
the last one, I wouldn't say is going to be too hard because, once again, it's songs that I know that you liked back in high school. But all right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Glass half empty, half full. I'll spill you. Try me and run into a wall, outfielder. You know I'm a ball till they turn off the field lights. The fruits are my labor. I enjoy them while they still ripe.
I do it like a king do. 6 or 7 foot, right?
6 foot, 7 foot by Lil Wayne. All right, you picked that one up pretty quickly. All right, let's go into the last one. All right, let's see if you can get this one.
Hit me.
And for those who didn't know, Aiden used to be a huge, I don't know what he is now, but at least in high school, huge Lil Wayne fan. So
Oh,
I knew
yeah.
that one would be very, very easy. All
Yeah.
right, last one. Go really on. All you watching all my watches. Stretching out like Pilates. Washing in my condo. Suicide doors. Rest in peace to my car door.
Ooh, I might need that one
Yeah.
more time, Tay. One more time.
Okay, I can hit you one more time.
Yeah.
Gold really on. All you watching all my watches. Stretching out like Pilates. Wash it in my condo. Suicide doors. Rest in peace to my car door.
Damn, you're gonna make fun of me, guy. I don't think I know this one. I'm gonna beat myself up after. Give me a hint.
Uh this person is known just like Wayne for having some really outlandish funny lines.
Okay.
So That's a hint. Also, um, they are an Atlanta rapper. An Atlanta rapper. A
Oh
tall
man.
Atlanta rapper.
So it's Two Chains,
Okay.
but why am I blanking on the song name? This is bad. I'm trying to think of what Two Chains we were bumping when we were in high school. Damn, you might I gotta give it to me. I'm sorry, Two Chains.
What We Doing by 2 Chains.
Ah, classic. Damn, we used to
Yeah.
play bump Two Chains before a lot of games too. That's bad. I lost my touch a little bit.
Lost your touch a little bit. I thought that one would be the hardest. Well, that's why I saved that one for last. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
that's a good one. That's a good one. Damn.
Okay. Kind of want to get into the red light jam section of the podcast, and as people who are close to me know, I remind everybody every week, but I used to sit at the red lights and record a song, and kind of feed it out to my network of people like, hey, this song is a good song that I like. For whatever reason, you might like it too. And
Yeah.
so this is the section where you just kind of put people on. Doesn't necessarily have to be me, doesn't have to be anything that I necessarily like. I want to expand my horizons, but this week we're starting with the letter F.
Okay.
So which song are you choosing? It can be for any reason, just let me know why.
F. There's a lot of good songs. There's a lot of good slow songs that Aidan and Ountae would like to sing in the car. Um, I got one, and it's not going to be what you're expecting by any means. But I'm going to just tell you a few honorable mentions because there's a ton of good Fs. I was thinking about "Family Don't Matter" by Young Thug on
Mm-hmm.
"Beautiful Thugger Girls."
Mm-hmm.
Drake has some classic Drake songs start with F. You got "Fire and Desire." You got "F and Fans" on his last
Mm-hmm.
whatever album, one of the more recent albums. We got
Find Your
F
Love.
Answer by Thug. We got a lot of good Fs, but
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling you might think I'd choose a rap song, so I think I got to choose the old school jam for you. So I'm gonna go with "Forever Mine" by the OJ's. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
I love that song, man. I
yeah.
Wow. I was not expecting that from you, man. And
I
look,
know. I had to throw you a
I'm
little
so
curveball.
I'm so glad you picked that. Actually, tell me why, and then I'll get into why I like that you picked that song.
I mean, other than the fact it's just an amazing song and puts you in a good mood wherever you're at. As you know, I recently got a record player, and one of the things I like doing on my free time is going to this record store by the house and just sort of browsing, seeing what they got. And I feel like I've learned a lot of music, especially like older school music, through just like throwing on my record. And then, so I got that record down there that I play. And then also my mom put me on to the OJs, and she loves oldies. And so I felt like I had to shout my mom out one time, and it just felt like the right vibe for the when you said F.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I like that song. I like that you picked that song during the month of February, Black History Month.
Sure.
Actually, I chose, like you said, F was a tough category. I had so many songs that I could have listed, and I'm not going to share my honorable mentions just in case I need them, later for later episodes. But I think that, you know, when I was listening through my catalog and going through and trying to find a song, I found that like there was one that really, really stuck out to me. And I think it's just because it's one of those songs like Forever Mine that I think makes me think back to like some of the great Black history is just it can be as big as MLK and it can be as small as, remembering something that you did with your mom, you know what I mean, that helped you get to where you are today. It really really differentiates depending on how you're feeling that day. And when I was going through my catalog, um Forever Mine really reminded me of like good old times of like sitting in the car with like my grandparent or my aunties and uncles and all of that other stuff. And then I actually a song that made me feel really in touch when I was a kid with like my like black self, and like uh just being a young African American male at the time, uh, and I wasn't listening to the words. So I want to say that at first, like it wasn't a words thing. It was really just feeling like connected through like the rhythm and like people who were talking, how people around me talked, and just feeling like really Afrocentric. And this album even has like, the red, the yellow, the green, which are like the Pan-African colors and stuff like that. The song that I chose for my red light jam is Find a Way by A Tribe Called Quest.
That is a good.
And
Well,
that song, I actually wanted to kind of shout it out because a few days ago, Jay Dilla would have been 50, and he helped produce that song. And Moose actually posted it like a couple of days after I had chose that, like that song that Jay Dilla had, passed away and stuff like that, 50 years ago, like, or like he would have been 50 or something like that at the time. So yeah, I really, 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 really do appreciate you choosing that song. I know I kind of rambled a little bit. My lights flickered off on me. Having some technical difficulties on the first video podcast that I'm putting out. But yeah, man, I think that, with it being Black History Month, you didn't even know that was the direction that I was going to go. It just so happened that, they kind of fit.
yeah,
So I love that.
that's a great. Yeah, it's so just a nostalgic song and makes you, takes you back. So it's a good one. But shout out Tribe too. That's a great call on your behalf. I actually just got a Tribe record the last time I was at that record store, so I've been meaning to bump it. So I'll do that when we're done filming this. So great
Yeah.
call.
The record store is dope. Back when we had Amoeba, I actually bought a Tribe shirt from Amoeba Records. Rest in peace to Amoeba Records. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? But yeah, I I agree. Tribe is lit. Love them. They feel so Afrocentric. Anytime that I listen to them, it just feels like, you know like the pinnacle of like black rapper group. You know what I'm saying? So too bad that they're not still, rocking together now. But yeah, great group. All right. Wrapping it up.
yeah.
I just need to know, what do you want to shout out that your friends or your family or yourself, that anything that that you have going on in your life that you just want to talk about and let the people know about?
Um, you know, Gotta shout out Ace for another time. That's my brother who grew up on the same street. We moved in, you know, 5 houses down, and we were 6 months old. So it's pretty far back as you can go. Got to shout out the Fresh Five, Ountae. We had the five of us seniors at Brentwood. I feel like it would be doing a disservice to all them if we didn't shout them out. But no, I'm up in Boston, just grinding with med school. I'm going to go pick a specialty at some point and just going to continue down this path. But um, if anybody listening or anyone that hears this is interested in medical career, whether it be doctor, nurse, whatever medical adjacent career, feel free to hit me up. I'd love to talk about it, share my experience, and then see if we can steer you in that direction. So, but mainly to shout you out, Tay. Thank you for having me. I'm proud of you getting this podcast going, having the first video episode, and I'm lucky to have you out in Boston now, so and sort of reconnect with that. So just grateful to be rambling with you. So thank you.
Yeah, man, and shout out to you. I appreciate you for coming on this week. That was a fun conversation. One of the most fun conversations I've had in a long while. On camera, off camera, it doesn't matter. So I really appreciate you coming out and doing that with me this week. So yeah, shout out to Aidan Fite, and we out.
Yes, sir. Peace.